Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another episode. Today I've got a viewer submitted question again titled, "What is the difference between a CTA and a CRC?" Now, I talk about these positions a lot on the channel. CTA standing for Clinical Trial Assistant, CRC standing for Clinical Research Coordinator, or sometimes you might hear me refer to them as just a coordinator or sometimes just a study coordinator. And even sometimes when I'm writing my reports, I will use the acronym just SC for study coordinator. So those are common acronyms in clinical research. And as you listen more to this channel and find out more information about clinical research yourself, you will come to find out that clinical research is a very, very acronym heavy industry. Very, very acronym heavy. So it's just one of those things that you're going to pick up as you get further along in your career. So the two differences, before I get into those two differences between the CTA and the CRC, I just want to let you guys know, since this is an entry-level position, and I'm sure a lot of people that are going to be listening to this episode are going to be entry-level people or interested in breaking into the clinical research industry, just want to let you guys know that if you're looking for a leg up, because it's going to take hundreds of applications for you to get your foot in the door finally in clinical research, if you're looking for a leg up, you can consult with me about the resume review program that we have going on, where I will myself review your resume and make sure it's up to par, make sure it's up to snuff, make sure you've got the right keywords in there to first make it across all the different layers that recruiters will use to weed you out. So it can definitely be helpful to have someone in your corner guiding you along the way. So you can email me if you're interested about that at eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. For any more, if you have any type of questions or anything, you can always hit me up there also. So getting back to the CTA versus CRC, the one thing that you've got to keep in mind between the two is one is at the site level. So the site level are the people that actually conduct the research. They're the hands-on people that are going to be talking with the patients, interacting with the patients, collecting samples from the patients, administering drug to the patients, etc. They are at the site level, and that's a CRC. So a lot of times they will hire former nurses as CRCs. They'll hire people that have been maybe phlebotomists, maybe people that have been accustomed to handling patients. Even foreign MDs a lot of times hit me up to become clinical research coordinators, and it's a very good job and it's a very good fit for them also because of that patient experience background. So you've got to understand that CRC or SC, study coordinator, are at the site level, whereas a CTA is typically going to be at the CRO level. And the CRO stands for Contract Research Organization, once again, another acronym. But these are the people that are contracted by pharmaceutical companies to help run the clinical research study. So the CRO, Contract Research Organization, is somebody that is contracted by the pharmaceutical company to run and manage the clinical study. So the type of services that these CROs offer is going to be project management services, data management services, of course, monitoring. So that's how they got started. They started probably with one of these services they were offering, and then slowly but surely added over time more and more services as the demand increased from pharmaceutical companies. But the CTA is a role, you've got a handful of CROs out there that hire for CTAs. And you've also got pharmaceutical companies that hire for CTAs. And it's just the name of a role. The role is going to be somebody that maybe takes meeting minutes, maybe does agendas for different meetings. They might talk with sites. They might send sites materials if they needed. They might compile the ISF binders and send these to the sites. They may upload documents into the TMF. It really just depends what company you're talking about, because the role is going to be slightly different. It's also going to be slightly different with which sponsor you're working for. So a sponsor like Pfizer may require their CTAs to do one set of tasks, where a sponsor like AstraZeneca may require their CTAs to do something else. Sometimes, a lot of times, the CTA ends up being a CRA assistant. So they'll just do whatever the CRA tells them to do, which is likely going to be uploading documents into the trial master file. So, CTA is going to be a range of different things, but it's going to be a site-facing, it's going to be clinically facing, which means you're going to be facing the site, so you're going to be interacting with sites. most of the time. And you're going to be definitely interacting with CRAs, clinical team leads, study coordinators, sometimes the PI. You're going to be doing a lot of admin work in-house. This is not a remote position a lot of the times. This is going to be an in-house position. You've got to come into the office every day. This is entry-level, base level job. And you've got companies out there like IQVIA is one that comes to mind that hires a lot of CTAs. But when comparing and contrasting that to a CRC, and I also want to mention one thing about the CTA before we go on to CRC, is that the CTA role is very structured. It is not a role, it's not necessarily a jack of all trades role. You're going to get your responsibilities and you're probably going to stay within those as long as you're working for that same sponsor. And you might be working for, one sponsor or two sponsor. But a CRC is completely different. That's at the site level. So the CRC is the one that does all of the work, or a lot of the work for the PI. The PI's main role is to just focus on safety and patient oversight. The study coordinator is going to do everything else. They are going to interact with the IRB. They're going to make sure that the study is approved by that local IRB or central IRB. They are going to handle the ISF binders. They're going to be the one making sure everyone's CVs are up to date, everyone's medical licenses are up to date, compiling those in a binder. They're going to make sure that the PI is, reviewing patient work, reviewing patient labs, things like that. They're going to be the ones bringing it to the PI, kind of keeping the PI on track and on task. They are the jack of all trades, literally going to be doing everything. A new study comes in, the study coordinator's got to be the one to handle that. They could be anywhere from, I've heard anywhere up to 7 or 8 protocols that a CRC could be working on at one time. And, different protocols require different things from the CRC. Some are more in depth, some are not so in depth. So it just kind of depends on that workload. That is something that the CRC and the PI are going to have to discuss, or whoever manages the study coordinators at the site are going to have to discuss. When it comes to pay, these are both entry-level positions. It just kind of depends where you're located and which company you're hired by. CTAs can make anywhere from about $39,000 entry-level to probably about $45,000, just depending on that range. CRCs, I've seen anywhere from around that same range, about $40,000 a year, up to about $50,000, $55,000, depending on where you're located. And then it can go up from there depending on your level. So a very experienced study coordinator is going to make way more than that. Same with the very experienced CTA. They're going to make more than that. But CTA is not really a role that people will stay in for a long time. They'll typically go on to project management, or they'll typically go on to a CRA role, or some other role within the company or organization. That's not a role they're going to stay in. Whereas CRC is a role where people do tend to stay in if they want to. Some people just like being study coordinators, and that's great because they end up being really good at their job, and they like the patient interaction. They like doing research, so that's great for them. So I'm trying to think. So the main difference between the two among the tasks that I described is going to be, one is at the site level, one is at the CRO or pharma level. So you've got to get that distinction down. And, I know a lot of people that are listening to this may not know what level they want to be at or anything like that. And that's fine. That's one of the great things about this industry is that you're able to try different things. So if you want to try out being a study coordinator and you don't like it, well, you can try out something else. You can go try being a CTA or a CRA or something like that. So that's one of the great things about this industry. And one of the great things about being either a CTA or a CRC is you have plenty of options. So I hope this answered your question. If you guys have any more questions about CTA or CRC or any of the other entry-level positions, email me eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. Take care, guys.